Hey everyone, my name is Candace. Thank you for coming to my channel. It's Me Time. This is About You podcast. If you haven't already, please take a moment to make sure that you've subscribed to this channel so you don't miss any further content. On tonight's episode, we'll be talking about the power of self-reflection, how taking me time enhances personal growth within recovery. And without any further ado, let's get into it. So, self-reflection to me is the practice of looking inward. It's the practice of examining my thoughts, my motives, what drives me to do what I'm doing, and make the decisions that I'm making. Because if I run off of self will and I'm not asking myself, why do I feel this way? Or what could I have done better? Or what do I want to do better next time? I find myself in a state that's easier to like kind of tailspin out and make the same mistakes repeatedly. And that's not a place that I choose to live anymore. And so it's a kind of a heavier topic, but I think that it's so important to talk about because of the fact that this affects everybody. And self reflection is something that we can all do to take a little bit more care in the intentions of the actions that we're portraying into the world. Because collectively, if we all are responsible for ourselves, that gives us all a pretty much better standpoint to come from when it comes to like being there for each other and showing up as a collective, because we are all in this together. And so the process isn't about self-criticism or dwelling on like the things that I could have done better. It's about looking at the things that I have done and honoring the decisions that I made where I was at and trying to know better for next time. So see the difference there. And there's no self-deprecating behavior. There's no self-loathing. There's no self-pity. It's honoring where I was at when I made that decision or when I said those words or when I made that choice. And taking a look at myself and being like, did that hurt anybody? Did I hurt myself? Did I honor myself when I said those things or when I made that decision? Because I now know that in saying, yes to other people, I'm saying no to myself if I really don't want to do something. And in turn, also, like if I'm saying no to other people, that can be reflected upon me by my understanding as to me saying yes to myself. um, it was a long time ago that I learned that the perspective of just like shutting out the world and tuning in to what's going on with my world can help change the world as a whole. And I think that there's just so much power in that. And that's what I wanted to really dive into tonight, because I think that it's so important that we talk about this like kind of enigmatic topic of conversation that isn't always the most comfortable, but it plays a crucial role because it helps all of us. It helps everybody, because the more that we can self-reflect and heal on the things that we've done, the more changes that we can make. And we don't do better until we know better. And when we know better, it gives us an opportunity to do better. So that's really, the basis of self-reflection. So I'm just going to dive right into the definition right now. So, self reflection is the ability to witness and evaluate one's own cognitive, emotional, and behavioral processes. In psychology, other terms used for this self observation include reflective awareness and reflective consciousness, which originate from the work of William James. And an example of self reflection is journaling, talking with friends, practicing mindfulness, creative expression, and spending time alone. Self reflection is essential for internal awareness and understanding personal identity, focusing on the what rather than the why to stay objective and productive. And there's a lot here when it comes to how this is important for recovery, especially when preventing relapse. And whether that's like relapse with substances, relapse it with people, places, things that are not good for me, playing the tape through until the end and remembering what and why I choose to change my behavior is a good basis as to like making different decisions. Like, why am I making different decisions this time, instead of like remembering that that person hurt me and then like letting it slide and just being like, oh no, it's okay, they won't do it again, oh it's okay, it wasn't that bad, and just gaslighting myself into these different situations that like allow me to stay in the same cycle. That's destructive, and I know it's destructive, so why do I do it? It's like spending time with family or friends that like aren't good for me. And the holidays come around, and I put out a podcast about this before, and toxic family members, toxic friends, and then the holidays come around just in time for like me to have forgotten what they've done, or just like the emotions and resentment subside a little bit, and then bam, I'm in a situation where it's just like, you know what, like why am I even doing this, like why am I even here? And then it's such a whirlwind to get through that period of time, to keep up with like the hustle and bustle of keeping up with like the Joneses, so to speak. How we've got just the conditioning of the life, like the gift giving and the meals, and the next thing you know, it's all the chaos is gone, and then it's back to the grind. And it's just like, when does it ever stop? Like, do you know what I mean? When does it ever stop? And when do I ever get a chance to like pause? And like, that's how life is. It's not meant to be paused, because the grind and the conditioning keeps us so entangled in go, 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 that taking the time, making the time, I should say, to pause, to stop, to self-reflect has been crucial for me, speaking for myself, in my recovery process. And like figuring out who I am, who I want to be around, what kind of person I want to be, has been so vital, and it helps me separate my trauma from like my identity. And I've talked about this before. If you haven't checked out my other video on surviving victimhood and shifting victimhood into and survival mode into thriving, I highly suggest checking those out, because for me, for so long I identified with the chaos, because it's where I lived, and coming into finding the ability to actually like stop and say like, no, I don't want this, or no, this isn't good for me, allowed me a space where I could like find quiet and calm long enough to differentiate what's mine and what's not mine. Like, where do I end and other people begin? And that's where it really helped with a lot of codependency habits that I had, the blurred lines of like what's mine and what's yours and what's theirs, and just having it all mixed up. And the next thing you know, there's like resentments being formed and created, because nobody can read each other's minds, yet we're all doing these things that we shouldn't be doing, and it's all just like crossing into each other's territories, if that makes sense. And so I really encouraged self-compassion, to start treating yourself with like the kindness that you would offer to a friend. Like, I quite often say like, how would I talk to my best friend that way? You know what I mean? And that has helped me to bring compassion and gentleness and self-love into my own life, and look at the decisions that I've made, instead of coming from a place of like self like hatred, or like low self-worth, or anything like that. It's allowed me to come from a place of love, because I do want to show love to myself. I recovery is hard, you know what I mean? I didn't come this far to be rude to myself, because that's how I would have treated myself in the past. And this is the self-reflection piece that I've been talking about. And I hope that you don't either. You know what I mean? Like, if there's anything that I could suggest in tonight's episode, it would be to allow self to be kind and to take that pause and to take accountability. Because I tell you, there is a quote that I learned in early recovery, and it's just like, don't be the biggest a-hole in the room. And at first I was just like, what does that mean? But then after, practicing that, like, I don't want to be the biggest a-hole in the room. I don't need to be. I can hold myself to a higher standard and still get my point across, because there is always somebody out there that's going to be louder, that's going to be more noisy, that's going to be a bigger a-hole than I am. And honestly, it's the whole let them theory. Like, let them, because I have to focus on myself, and you do too, because people are always going to have an opinion. They're always going to have something to say, and this is something that, like, I'm learning is inevitable. It just is what it is, because I can't control people, places, and things, but I can control myself. And what I can do next time is, instead of putting myself in situations where I am feeling triggered, or I'm feeling reactive, or I'm feeling emotionally charged, I can come at things from a different angle. But I have to self-reflect. I need to stay present with myself and have a good sense of, like, who do I want to show up in the world as today? Because I have a choice today. And that is so bloody powerful. And it's such a big part of recovery, because, like, back then when I was in addiction, and when I was even in early recovery, like, it's hard to have a choice. It's hard to feel like I had a choice. I didn't even know who I was. And so, that's all part of this self-growth, self-awareness, and self-reflection is such a big piece, because if I don't learn better, I'm not going to do better. And then I'm, like, literally sober doing this tailspin of, like, trying to just manage the chaos that I don't know how to manage, because I have no tools. And so it's so important to learn how to be kind to myself, and to have dialogue with that inner voice, and just honor the no's, like, honor the no, like, that isn't for me, thank you very much. Or, yes, that is for me. And even if I'm the only person saying, yes, this is for me, or whatever it is, it's okay, as long as I feel like I'm doing the right thing. But I can only know that I'm doing the right thing if I self-reflect. So now that we've covered how to make better decisions through self-reflection, I want to talk about how self-reflection helps with healings, because it validates my experiences. It helps me understand what happened, what I can do about it, and how I can not put myself in that position again. It helps separate my past trauma from my identity, which we talked about earlier. And it helps me understand, like, what I can do within myself to help myself basically not be an a-hole to other people in my life that are just trying to, like, love me through this stuff, and how it encourages self-compassion, because, like, being kind to myself, and understanding and accepting and surrendering to the idea that I don't need to hate myself all the time, encourages self-love. And now that we understand on, like, if I or you or anybody, like, for betrayal, for example, reflecting on it, instead of staying stuck in the pain, I can analyze what I've learned and move forward from that. And it basically creates a space in which I'm able to move forward. And it's the same for you. And the next topic that I wanted to touch on around self-reflection is how it improves relationships. And it also, like, trims the fat in my life where relationships that no longer serve me. So self-reflection allows me to identify patterns within myself and others. It allows me to recognize if I'm pushing people away, if I'm bringing in the wrong people, if I'm co-signing other people's toxic behavior, or if I'm allowing other people to co-sign mine. Because if I'm surrounded by people that are co-signing my BS behavior or my BS thoughts, then I am not setting myself up for the best longevity of future that I possibly can. And I didn't come this far to only come this far. I want to be surrounded by the best people that I possibly can. So therefore, I need to become the best version of myself that I possibly can. I'm a firm believer that we are who we hang out with. And today, within having a choice of who I am, who I want to show up in as the world, sorry, who I want to show up as within the world, pardon me, I get to do that. I get to self reflect. And what a gift, because I am able to become more accountable to myself and others. I'm able to recognize how I can communicate more effectively because I understand what I truly need in relationships and who I'm willing to be in relationships, because I have a choice today, and so do you. And this is why self reflection is just such an important topic, I believe, because it breaks the chains of the patterns that have kept me down for so long. And it's the same for you, it's the same for anybody. And like, if you have stuff that you're working through, like, please feel free, like, leave comments in the comment section below, because like, I would love to hear how we can relate with different things and how we've grown through different things together, because we are all in this together. As separate as we are all united. And it's just such a beautiful thing to be able to come together as a collective and say, hey, look at, like, let's all work on ourselves. Let's all heal. Let's do the things to make this world a little bit better of a place. And that's why I'm here talking to you tonight. So, final thoughts before I wrap this short but sweet podcast up about how self reflection is not a one time thing. It is not something that you're going to get right first, right off the bat. It's not something that you're going to get right, after reading books or after. It's a practice. It's a practice. And it's something that is a continual space to put energy into so that we can continuously evolve and grow better. And it takes commitment, and it's life changing. It's journaling, it's mindfulness, it's taking the time to think, it's placing priority on self and placing self above other things that we can otherwise use to distract ourselves, other things that we're told we need to put our attention into, other things that other people want us to put our energy in towards. But taking back the power of choice and, saying, what is one thing that I've learned about myself recently? Or how did I handle my emotions today? Or what's one small change that I can make to help improve the way that I'm feeling so that tomorrow I feel a little bit differently, or I feel a little bit better? Like, these are all just questions that we can all ask ourselves in order to have a little bit better of a. Taking even just 5 minutes can open the door to such profound personal growth. And tonight I want to present a challenge. I want to challenge you to look at how self-reflection can become one of the most powerful tools that you can have in your toolbox. I want to challenge you to understand yourself on a deeper level, to make choices that align with who you truly are, whether you're on a journey of recovery, whether you're on working through past trauma, or simply thriving to be the best version of yourself. Taking time to reflect is the ability to create clarity, to create resilience, to create inner peace. And so your growth begins with awareness. With every moment of reflection brings you closer to the life that you deserve. So my question to you is, what are you going to do about it? Now that you know better, what are you going to do better? What are the changes that you're going to make in your life to not only make your life better, but the lives of people around you better? Because we impact more people than we think. You impact more people than you think. So, drop a comment in the comment section below. Share this video to somebody that might need to hear the message, because we're all walking each other home. And with that being said, thank you for listening to my podcast, Nate. Thank you for showing up on my channel. And thank you for showing up in the world today as you are, because I couldn't do it without you. And, thank you for being here.